important topic: education and strategic career development. Now, education is often described as the key to success, but in today's rapidly changing world, a certificate alone may not or may no longer be enough. Employers are increasingly looking beyond academic qualifications to practical skills, adaptability, digital competence, and the ability to solve real-world problems. And joining us on the conversation to unpack this important discourse, we're joined by an educational development strategist, Mahfouz Alabidun. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so in my intro, I said that as the world is evolving, it's moving beyond just having a certificate. And so again, many people believe that once they have a degree, they are guaranteed of a good life. Is this still realistic when you look at today's world?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most interesting topics to discuss, particularly when there is this also terminology about Olodo uprising, you know, where you have a lot of people talk about, oh, people are now ignorant and they are also making it. And then the question will now be, so how about those who genuinely went to the university or who are educated, and what is their status? But the fact remains that it's not just about, you know, not having education. Education is key. Education is one of the most important tool you can use to change the world, according to Nelson Mandela. So you can't do without education. So even if you want to be as unnecessarily ignorant as you want to be, you just have to be educated. So education is key, is fundamental. So then the other part of what you now want to say is, okay, so how about those who are educated, and what has happened to them? Why are they not really making it the way they should?
Because you find a lot of first-class students jobless.
Who are, so the answer to that is very simple. We now go back to what is the kind of education that they have access to. So when you compare Nigeria or Africa to other European or China or other Asian countries, you will see that they don't even have, they've not even gone to the kind of education that we have gone to, but they are successful. They are doing very well in terms of innovation, technology, and all that. So you now want to ask that what is the content of education that we have? The kind of education we have in Nigeria is just a way to say we're just trying to dump you know, issues, just trying to do a theory rather than practical. So imagine if somebody is studying computer science in the university, and such a person could not even do a common programming, could not even do a common graphics design, or maybe something as menial as it used to be, and then the person is a graduate claiming to be a first-class graduate, or even an engineering, mechanical engineering. This is somebody who can't even lose you know, an engine to even see what has happened, and this person has spent 5 years or 6 years. As a matter of fact, he may even be a first-class graduate, as the case may be. So we see that there is more to be done in terms of, you know, practical education and talking about innovation and technology than just having the theory aspect of our education. So everything still boils down to the kind of education we have in the country. I
want us to dig deep into the theory part and the practical part, because again, even as, let's even leave graduating out of school, let's come down to internship. There are so many interns that we have here, and I've heard them say, oh, what we are taught in school is different from what we are seeing here. Like, it's just, that's just books, theory, and this is different from real life. And so if you have students having that experience or that testimony, then what are the gaps that of course you have identified the gap that and they also have identified that what they teach them is different from what they see here in real life. And so how do we begin to address these gaps? Is there a need to begin to reform our curriculum?
Yeah, sure, of course. There's no doubt about it. There's need for I don't want to use the word declaring a state of emergency for education in Nigeria, but I mean it's getting to that, because there's virtually different from what you are taught in the classroom in the university and what you meet in the field. And you know, it's just like they are two different things entirely. So the question will now be that the university system itself, how often do they update their curriculum to meet the system? In some universities today, they've not started using CBT for exams. They don't even know what is called AI as a student, where, you know, somebody who is just 10 years old, 15 years old in the US, in China and all these places, they've started using AI, they've started coding. They have their own AI platform they use as young as they are. But in our universities today, we are still lagging behind. You know, we still have, even in our local communities, in our schools, in secondary school, government schools, where students cannot even operate a computer. A senior secondary student cannot operate a computer, and this is somebody that wants to compete with the world. So you can see that there is need for us to talk about a total overhauling of our curriculum, to talk about a reform in our curriculum so that we can get it right. If not, we are just trying to recycle the system, to also do more of theory than practical, and that will not take us anywhere. And secondly, you know, it also depends on the kind of people that manage the education sector. I used to say something that there are some sectors that you don't necessarily have to be political about it. So like health, you don't pick a political ally to be the Minister of Health or to be the Minister of Education, or to be the Commissioner for Health. Same as education as well. You don't necessarily, and it's going to be a disservice if you are picking somebody who is a political ally to be, you know, the Minister of Education, or to be the Commissioner for Education, or to be the Commissioner for Health. You are not doing any good for the governance of the state. So when you look at the kind of people that manage some of these things too, because when they come up with some reforms, you'll be like, I'm sure this person that is announcing this reform doesn't, or is not part of the profession, so he doesn't know what operates. So imagine, because we have, you know, low deficiency of teachers are no more in school, then the next thing you want to announce is that you want to announce that there should be a reduction in the requirements for the JAMB exams, so that we can have more people just to be part of, or just to be a teacher. So teaching profession is a noble profession, just like you have, you know, a law profession, you have a medical profession. You don't just pick anybody to be part of it. With one mark, you may not qualify to transition into a medical school. So same is supposed to be for people that are supposed to be teachers. So you don't politicize, you know, the system of education in no way. If you are doing that, at the end of the day, these are the kind of things you have. We just want to mark scores, we just want to mark attendance, or we just want to tick the box that we have 16,000 people graduating. But after the graduation, what next?
You know, picking it from what you've said about the teaching profession, I know many years ago, teachers used to be held in high esteem, you know, respected in society. But nowadays, it's not longer that way anymore. You hardly find, we have interns there, and if you call them, you can hardly find any, or even children in school hardly say, I want to be a teacher. When they have career day, you do not see anyone saying, I want to be a teacher. And also, that has also affected the quality of, because again, we do not have qualified persons. People are going into the profession just get work.
Just the
opportunity. And again, sometimes I've heard people just go to study education because the course they wanted, they were not given. So, you go and do education. Has that also impacting on?
Yeah, I mean, that is just it. Well, I'm proud to be a teacher. It's left to anybody who is not proud to be a teacher. And, you know, it's a noble profession, and it is still a noble profession. One of the reasons why there is a setback, or there is a challenge about it, is because of what's the outcome. So it's not competitive, because the system itself is not rewarding the people that are supposed to be rewarded. So you hear them say that the reward of a teacher is in heaven. So what is the teacher going to survive with? Will the teacher be sleeping under the bridge? I mean, this is not a good statement. So what should be, and this is something that we have also been advocating for, that teachers' remuneration should be taken care of, just like you take care of the remunerations of other professions. You know, they should be well. I mean, we just have to, we can still appreciate, you know, Lagos State government. Out of all the states in Nigeria, Lagos State government is still paying the highest salary for teachers. But even at that, it's not even meeting the standard of what a normal citizen should have or should be a take-home for. Because, I mean, they are doing a lot, and they are the ones that will breed the leaders. So you can imagine if you have people who are not passionate about the job, breeding the next kind of leaders. What kind of leaders are we going to have in future? So that is one of the problems why you just have people. If you bring a statistics of teachers today, maybe 5% are those who are really passionate about the job. The 95% are just doing it because, I mean, we just have to do it because we don't have an option. So once they have an option, they quit the job.
Okay, let's also look at the other leg of the conversation now. It's strategic career development. So education is one thing, and strategic career development is another. I'd like you to talk on that. Yeah,
so the strategic career development also starts with the government, because like I always say, whatever the government is interested in, they are going to do it. Whatever they are not interested in, they would not take attention of it. So if you are saying strategic career development, one thing that needs to happen is there is need for a reform in the kind of education that we have. Do we just want to have a theory, and just because we just want to mark an attendance of children of ordinary men are now graduates, children of ordinary, what kind of graduates are we chunking out? So which now goes back to the focus on, let's focus on more of technicalities, or maybe skills, as the case may be, in terms of what are the skills that are presently relevant in the 21st century, that are relevant. So talking about AI, talking about tech, talking about, you know, major skills that can actually give funds and opportunities to people. People are doing a lot of remote jobs based on the skills they learned, maybe after being a graduate. So why don't we put that in our curriculum while they are still in the university? And it also starts from the foundational learning as well. So I also work with people in prisons to also support in terms of education. And what I've seen is that the people that a lot of people call criminals are not actually criminals. They want to survive. They want to live. They also want to be known. They want to be seen. So whatever they do, they feel is a way that they can also, why don't we take them as people that we can support, you know, technically, with skills, with vocational, you know, opportunities. And you see them doing a lot of things, you know. So instead of us just trying to say, oh, this one is a graduate, this one is this, we need to focus more on skills and, you know, more relevant things. There are so many courses in the university that are not relevant again. In fact, I don't know why somebody will spend 5 years in the university studying engineering. I don't know why.
Is it not relevant?
No, it's not. It's not that it's not relevant, but there are so many easy. I mean, the world has evolved, and it's only in Nigeria that you still have that kind of curriculum. Other part of the world in 3-4 years, because you are going to be in the factory. You are not going to be in the classroom. You are not going to be in the classroom.
It should be more practical. Not staying in the
So
classroom.
it's all, and the government should be ready to fund it expressly. So we should be ready to fund it. So that is one of the first thing. And secondly, there should also be, you know, a career guidance and counseling sessions for people, particularly for once you are transiting from the junior secondary school to the senior secondary school. I'm not sure in our secondary schools today we have that. And if we don't have it, these are some of the things we need to start talking about, because that is where people get to understand their potentials. That is the stage at which you can actually guide them to say, okay, you have 3 options. Which ones do you want? Okay, try this. If this is not working, try this. If this is not working, you go for this. But what we have today is people just want to be Davido. They want to be maybe because they are making money. Yeah, money is good, but sometimes it's not just about Davido. You know, it's also about who are you as a person. You know, we know a lot of celebrities who have 3, 4 skills that you ask them, if you are not a musician, what would you have been? But today, if you ask an ordinary young guy, what do you want to be? He will say, I want to be a musician. He doesn't know anything rather than being a music. And maybe because there is no guidance and counseling for them, that's why you have things like that. Yeah.
I really like that you went through that part of having a career guidance and counseling, especially in secondary schools, because again, you'll find, especially when you're leaving GSS class, going to the SS class, you have the science, the commercial and the arts class, and so many young people don't know where to fall into, and that's where career guidance comes in. Some just go because their friend is going to science class, you follow. You know, for me now, I went to arts class. I know I don't understand accounts, I don't understand the account sheet, the balance sheet. I did not understand it. Chemistry, physics, I did not understand it. So I just knew my part. I went straight into the arts class and I did beautifully well there. So I'd like you to speak on how peer pressure also pushes young people into following their friends, and of the role of parents as well. Some parents want to impose a particular profession on their children. Oh, you must be a doctor, you must be a lawyer, whereas maybe the child wants to even become a creative. You know, so I'd like you to talk about that too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very important that there is need for, you know, a career guidance and counselor at every stage, and that's why, you know, even as you are growing, you need to also have a mentor. And so for parents, what I always advise is that parents should just be a guardian. You cannot say that you want to impose on your child, and that's why there is need for a conversation between the parents and the children. No child is young. Even a 3-year-old child is not young. If he's not listening, he's seeing what you are doing. So, and he can also perceive from the activities of the house that, oh, this is the bearing of. So a parent should also have a conversation with their children on what are things that needs to be done. Okay, you want to do this. Okay, why do you want to do this? Who have you seen that has been successful in this? Okay, why don't you go for this? You can also do this. You know, with that, the child has different options, varieties of options to choose from. And once he or she is seeing what's happening in the society, he can choose the right one for he or herself. So it's also very important that parents don't necessarily impose on them that you must be a lawyer, because we are a family of lawyers in this house. So none of my children
because
is
I've had even people on the show, they say, I went to school, I studied psychology. I just did it for my parents, and they are doing something else.
So that's even a disservice to even to the family as well, because once people are happy with what they are doing, you get the best out of them. You know, that's why during the last World Cup, you know, there is one young guy that was celebrated, Lamin from Spain. This is somebody that perhaps they've observed that this is his career. Football. And the parent took him to the school. So you don't necessarily say, oh, my son cannot be a footballer. My son cannot be. And now he's one of the world stars today. He's competing with the you know, the big ones. So it's just a way to say that you don't necessarily need to restrict them. Just give them the guide and put them in the right places. But that also is also a stigma from the African perspective, which we also need to talk about, because we don't believe in some careers in this part of the world. We believe you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be
an
engineer. That is when you are
you're respected.
So we don't really believe that there are some careers that can take you to where those people will not even take you to, you know, and those things are just there, and it's not for everybody. not everybody will be a lawyer. Not everybody will, but there are some people that are celebrated journalists today that are even known more than some lawyers. So we don't have to say that, oh, you must be a lawyer, you must be a doctor. But I think that's just the African perspective of the career. No career is not celebrated. It only depends on how, you know, you are consistent with it. And that is one of the most important things. Yeah.
I still want to go back because you mentioned it at the beginning of the show, Olodo uprising that was trending some weeks ago. And because again, you also mentioned that you see many young people now, they'll tell you, I just want to be Davido. They don't want to go to school. But we still can't rule out, even though, yes, that time and seasons have changed, you know, but we can't rule out the importance of having to be educated. And so I'd like you to establish the importance of having at least some certain level of education. Regardless of whatever field, whether it's in the entertainment industry or the professional line. How important is having, might not necessarily be a BSc degree, but at least have some certain level of education? Yeah,
so it's just because BSc degree is celebrated, it doesn't mean that somebody who has gone to an institute is not a professional. So that's one thing that we all need to understand. So if you want to be a footballer, maybe because we are still in the season of football, you know, so just go to the football academy and you can climb through the ladder and become a professional. And once you are a professional, so when the need arises, you can go to the university and continue with your you know, academics as you want to. But that doesn't mean that we can actually rule out the fact that what is most important is for you to be a professional at what you do. So majority of the people that we have in the social media today, they are not even professionals. And that's why the content they chunk out in terms of the social media commentators, you'll see that these are unprofessional comments, or these are unprofessional, you know, perspective to what's, and unfortunately is even affecting, you know, what they chunk out is affecting those who are even professionals. Maybe because they are the ones that we see talk, they are the ones that we see, we hear them. So it's making us even lose traction of we that are even professionals, the genuine content that are supposed to be out. But imagine if they are professionals, if they have gone to the school, maybe an institute or something, it gives you a leverage to know what to say at the right time, to know when to say what you are supposed to say. And that is one of the most important things. So being a graduate is also a privilege, is an honor being a graduate, because I mean, everywhere in the world today, no matter how worst it is, once you are a graduate, you are given a kind of leverage over others. So one cannot say that being a graduate is out of it. So even if you are going to be graduating with 2-2, Tony Elumelu is one of the ruling the banking sector in Nigeria today, and he has 2-2.
So it's not about,
so it's not even about just
with.
Be a graduate and whatever. And one thing about Tony Elumelu that I need to talk about is he has a skill and he developed himself professionally. So just make sure that you have a skill that you can now develop yourself professionally on, and you'll be one of the celebrated, you know, people in the world. So, but if you don't have the skill and you just want to meet up with what the society has, there's going to be a problem at the end of the day.
Speaking about skills now, soft skills like communication skills, leadership skills, teamwork. These are the things that are not taught in the four walls of a classroom. And in today's world, these are very, very important skills, because even if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to sell your product, and communication, leadership. You know, these are the things that are not taught in the four walls of a school. So how important is it for young people to build themselves up with the skills?
Yeah, so one of the first thing is for them to, you know, there are so many, so interestingly now, unlike the way it used to be, there are so many programs out there that people want to teach leadership. I also do it. I have a group of young people that I also, you know, mentor. As a young person, you need to be open-minded to learning. So that is one of the most important things. You don't say because you are not taught in school and I'm a graduate, so that's the end. You need to be open to learning, to, you know, get yourself equipped with the necessary knowledge that is required. So these are most important thing. As a matter of fact, these are the skills that people want to see in this part of the world. Not even being a graduate. Being a graduate may just be an addition to whoever you are competing with. But the most important thing is for you to have those leadership skills, and those leadership skills start from while you are in the university. So what are the social activities that you involve yourself in? If you're a Muslim, do you join MSS to be part of the leaders or to be part of those that contribute? Or if you're a Christian, do you join JCCF? I mean, if you also want to join the student union, there are so many platforms that you can also be part of one or two activities, and that's where you gain your leadership skill. That's where you also gain your communication skill, because you are going to meet different set of people that you need to communicate with on activities and issues, and you guys are still going to be friends together. So, and then one need to also have a mentor for whatever you want to do. Is very important. So you need to, like, for me, I have different mentors for different spaces of field. If I want to talk about personal life, I know who to meet. If I want to talk about, you know, business or I know who to meet. If I want to talk about, you know, so you need to have mentors that you know that are going to guide you, and that's one of the best way to go. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's also talk about because again, I feel that this conversation is more tailored to young people. And so, what common mistakes have you seen young people make, especially when it has to do with choosing a suitable career? What are some of the common mistakes that you have noticed?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed is there is peer influence. The unfortunate thing is when you ask maybe a secondary school student that what do you want to be, say I want to be Pella. So maybe because that's what they are seeing. Pella is making money on TikTok. I want to be what's this guy that was just arrested recently that was abusing Sheyi Tinubu, you know. They just want to be something. So peer influence is one of the most important challenge, and then social media influence too. Social media is taking a whole lot of distraction from people. You see somebody who has started a content today, before you know, maybe after 6 months, the person is rich. And then you are still trying to find your feet. So people are distracted with those things, and they want to be heard or seen. But something that is a challenging thing is that those things are not going to last forever because they don't have the skills. They are not going to be relevant forever. It's just a matter of time. It's just one of the social media boha that is just happening. With time, they are going to fizzle out because they are not going to meet the system when the time comes. And that's why it's important as a youth to have a skill, to also have a mentor that guides you to say, oh, do it this way, do it this way. With that, one can actually, because social media is taking a whole lot of time of people and is not making them get the best of the system that they are supposed to have.
Okay, also for graduates, new graduates, those leaving the university and coming into the labor market. Of course, again, life is not as it seems while you are in school. It's a different, you see it from a different perspective once you leave school. And so what advice do you also have for them? Yeah,
so I think they should start from before they leave the university. Because, I mean, it's competitive out there and it's not going to be easy. But for those who have not started, it's not late. So they need to identify what are the most important skills they need to get themselves in. Or if it's a profession, where do you want to be? Maybe you give yourself a target. Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? Where do I want to be in the next 10 years? The question should be asked. So if you ask that question, it gives you a guide to, okay, I want to do this, so that I can achieve this in the next 5 years. But if you are not doing that and you're just looking at the pressure of what is happening, one is going to be distracted. So the first thing you need to ask is, ask yourself, what do you want to be in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be? If you want to continue with the studies, start your master's immediately after the NYSC. Start immediately and maybe continue. If you want to, be a 9-to-5 person, you want to start working, get yourself the skills required to meet up with the system that can employ you into the labor market. And that's the best.
Interesting conversation, but time is not on our side, and we must leave this conversation here. It has been an insightful one. So education is not just about being in the four walls of a school. It goes beyond getting a certificate. There is need for constant upgrading and honing of skills. Thank you so much, Mahfouz Alabidun, for sharing your thoughts on this conversation. He is an educational development strategist, and we've been talking about education and strategic career development. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
The conversation continues. Stay with us.